Ladies, welcome back. We are here for another real one with some sassy truth and hugs for you today. So, some of you are walking around thinking, I must have failed. I must have done something wrong. How did I give my whole life to motherhood and still end up here? Tired, heartbroken, second guessing yourself. But what if the truth is not, I'm a bad mom? What if the truth is, I'm burnt out? I'm a burnout mom who carried too much for too long. Today we're talking about the shame nobody wants to say out loud, the exhaustion, the grief, the emotional hangover of loving your kids so hard you forgot yourself. And why this chapter hits women over 40 like a freight train. The one thing I want to say is that shame is so loud when you're exhausted. When you're emotionally drained, your brain looks for someone to blame. And mothers, we're trained to blame ourselves first. You replay every decision. I should have been stricter. I should have helped less. I should have helped more. I should have known. But burnout distorts thinking. Psychology shows that chronic emotional stress reduces our ability to see nuance. Everything feels like all or nothing. So instead of I did my best in the season I was in, you hear, I ruined everything. That's shame talking, not truth. Let's clear something up with compassion. And like I said, hugs. Enabling doesn't come from not loving enough. It comes from loving with fear. Fear that they'll fail, fear they'll suffer, fear that they'll hate you, fear they won't need you, fear you didn't do enough. So you overgive, you overhelp, and you overcarry. And for a while, this looks like love. But psychology calls this overfunctioning. When one person takes on more responsibility than is healthy in a relationship. Healthy love says, I believe in you. Enabling says, I don't think you can handle this without me. You didn't do that to control them. You did it because your nervous system couldn't tolerate watching them struggle. That doesn't make you a bad mom. That makes you a mom with an unhealed anxiety wound. Now we're going to grieve the fantasy child together. This is the quiet grief nobody prepares you for. You're not just grieving what is. Like you're grieving what you imagined. A grateful adult child, a close relationship with your child, mutual respect with your child, them becoming independent and thriving. But reality, it looks like conflict, distance, dependence, disrespect, struggles you can't fix. And that grief feels taboo. Because society tells moms, you should just be grateful they're alive. But grief is not a comparison game. You're grieving the fantasy version of adulthood you held in your heart for decades. And that grief, it's real. Psychologists call this ambiguous loss. When the person is still here, but the relationship you hope for isn't. That pain sits heavy, especially after 40. You might wonder why this hits harder after 40. Well, that's because motherhood wasn't just something you did. For many women, it was who you were. Now your kids are older. They don't need you the same way. or they don't need you in unhealthy ways. Either way, your role has changed. And if you built your identity around being the needed one, the strong one, the provider, or the emotional anchor, then this season feels like, who am I if I'm not fixing everything for my kids? That's not just sadness. That's identity grief. Women over 40 are often entering perimenopause. Hormonal shifts increase emotional sensitivity. That's science. They're facing empty nest transitions. They're reevaluating life purpose. And they're waking up from survival mode. So the parenting grief hits on top of midlife awakening. That's not weakness. That's a nervous system and identity recalibration. Here's the sassy truth for you. You didn't ruin your kids. You might have loved them in the only way you knew how, before you knew how to love yourself too. Growth doesn't make your past self a villain. Growth doesn't make your past self a villain. It makes your present self wiser. Now let's talk about what healing looks like now. Healing doesn't mean cutting off your kids, becoming cold, or pretending you don't care. It means letting go of the illusion that you can control their life, loving them without losing yourself, allowing natural consequences, grieving what isn't without shaming yourself for feeling it. You can be a loving mother or a loving father too. And a woman with limits. Those two things can exist together. Imagine that. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm so tired, that's not failure. That's a sign your body is done carrying more than one person's life. You don't need to hate yourself into being a better mom or a better parent. You need to rest, you need boundaries, and you absolutely need self-compassion. You're not a bad parent. You're not a bad mom. You're a mom who gave deeply and is now learning how to live deeply too. And that is not selfish. That is healing. I want you to tell me in the comments, what part of motherhood are you grieving right now? Not what you're grateful for, not what you should feel, what you are grieving. Because you're not the only one holding that quiet ache. And we don't heal shame in silence. We heal it in community. So drop your comments so others can see that they're not alone. I think that really helps. And I know I have men, I speak mostly to the ladies, but I know I have men out there who watch me too. This is for you too. Just put in gentlemen at the start of the title, because anyone who's a parent can be dealing with this type of grief. Thank you for joining me. I hope this message found you well. If you know, share this with someone you think might need to hear this message. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.